During Easter brunch, my cousin asked how much I got from Grandpa's will. I said, "What will?" Then turned to my brother and his face went white. Our family grows with your support. Hit subscribe and drop a quick comment sharing your location. It makes this journey even more special. The mimosas were flowing and Aunt Carol's deviled eggs sat untouched as usual when my cousin Brianna leaned across the Easter table with that smile. You know the one, all teeth no warmth. So Julie, she said loud enough for everyone to hear, how much did you end up getting from Grandpa Marcus's will? I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. What will? The entire dining room went silent. My mama's hand stopped mid-reach for the biscuits. Uncle Jerome's laugh died in his throat. But it was my brother Terrence's face that made my blood run cold. He'd gone absolutely white and I watched him physically recoil like I'd slapped him. Terry, I said slowly, setting down my fork. What is she talking about? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Started fidgeting with his napkin like it held the secrets of the universe. That's when I knew. Something was very, very wrong. Now let's not ruin brunch, my mama started, but I cut her off. Mama, what will? My voice cracked. Grandpa died 8 months ago. Nobody said anything about a will. Brianna's smile widened, enjoying the chaos she'd created. Oh honey, there was definitely a will. A big one. Grandpa Marcus left over $400,000 split between his grandchildren. I got my $50,000 last month. Didn't you? The room spun. $400,000? $50,000 each. I looked at Terrence again and this time I saw it. The new Rolex peeking out from under his sleeve. The designer sneakers he'd worn to Grandpa's funeral. The sudden ability to quit his job and invest in cryptocurrency. Terry, I whispered. Where's my money? He finally looked at me and I saw something worse than guilt in his eyes. I saw calculation. We need to talk. Privately. Terrence stood up so fast his chair scraped against Mama's hardwood floors, leaving a mark she'd definitely complain about later. But I wasn't moving. No. Say it here. In front of everybody. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the table edge. Around us, 15 family members pretended to be invisible, forks frozen midair. Julie, baby, let's just... Mama reached for my arm but I jerked away. Don't. The word came out sharp. Everybody in this room knew about this except me, didn't they? The silence was deafening. Not one person met my eyes. Not Aunt Carol, not Uncle Jerome, not even my little cousin Destiny, who usually couldn't keep a secret to save her life. Terrence exhaled slowly. Grandpa made me the executor. He left instructions. Instructions to steal from me? My voice was rising now, 8 months of confusion and grief combusting into rage. Is that what he told you to do? You weren't ready for it. Terrence exploded. You just got out of rehab, Julie. 6 months sober after 3 years of popping pills and... That's enough. Mama's voice cracked like a whip, but the damage was done. The shame hit me like a physical blow. Yes, I'd struggled with prescription painkillers after my car accident. Yes, I'd spent 90 days in treatment. But I'd been clean for 8 months. 8 months of meetings, therapy, rebuilding my life from scratch. So you decided I didn't deserve my inheritance? I asked quietly. You decided that? Terrence's jaw tightened. I was protecting you. Protecting the money until... Where is it? I stood up slowly. Where is my $50,000, Terry? He looked away. I invested it. For you. To make it grow until... You invested my money without asking me? It's complicated. Uncomplicate it. Right now. His face went pale again. There were some losses. Market volatility. But I can pay you back, I just need... How much is left? Silence. Terry. How much is left? 12,000. The room exploded. 12,000. I couldn't breathe. You lost $38,000 of my money? Mama stood up, her hand pressed against her chest. Terrence, please tell me she's misunderstanding. But Terry's face told us everything. Aunt Carol gasped. Uncle Jerome started cursing under his breath. Brianna sat back with her arms crossed, looking vindicated for starting this whole mess. I had a sure thing, Terrence said desperately. This crypto opportunity the guy promised. What guy? I demanded. What guy, Terry? His name is Devin. He runs this investment firm. Devin Richardson? Uncle Jerome's voice was ice. That scammer who got investigated by the SEC last year? Terry, you gave Julie's inheritance to Devin Richardson? The confirmation on my brother's face made me see red. I trusted him. When Grandpa died, when everyone was whispering and making arrangements, Terry had hugged me at the funeral and promised, I got you, sis. Always. Meanwhile, he'd been pocketing my inheritance like I didn't exist. Julie, baby, sit down. Mama's voice was gentler now. Let's all just calm down and figure this out. Figure what out? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mama, he stole from me. He lied for 8 months. He made a mistake, Mama said carefully. But he's your brother. Family forgives. Family doesn't steal $50,000. My voice cracked. Do you hear yourself right now? Mama's face hardened. I hear a daughter who's forgetting everything this family did for you. Who paid for that fancy rehab. Who took you in when you had nowhere to go. The words hit like bullets. So that's it? I owe you my inheritance because you helped me when I was struggling. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying, Mama? Tears were streaming down my face now. Because it sounds like you're choosing him over me. Again. She flinched. We both knew the truth of it. Terrence had always been the golden child. The one who could do no wrong. I'm choosing peace, Mama whispered. I'm choosing to keep this family together. I looked around the table at all these people I'd loved my entire life. Not one of them was defending me. Then you're choosing wrong. I was grabbing my purse, ready to storm out of Mama's house and never come back, when Uncle Jerome cleared his throat. Wait, there's something else. Everyone turned to stare at him. He looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Marcus left something for you specifically, Julie. A sealed letter. He made me promise to give it to you on Easter no matter what. What? Terrence's voice pitched high. Dad never said anything about a letter. Because it wasn't your business, Uncle Jerome said coldly. He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket, cream-colored, slightly yellowed, with my name written in Grandpa's shaky handwriting across the front. My hands trembled as I took it. The envelope was thick, substantial. Something was inside besides paper. Don't, Terrence warned. Not here. Not in front of everyone. That made me want to open it even more. I slid my finger under the seal and pulled out 2 things. A handwritten letter and a small brass key. Dear Julie, I read aloud, my voice shaking. If you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I hope to God my instructions were followed. But knowing your brother like I did, I'm guessing they weren't. Terrence made a strangled sound. Mama put her hand over her mouth. I'm leaving you $50,000 in the official will, but that's not the real inheritance. That's a test, to see who in this family would tell you the truth and who would lie to protect themselves. By now you know who failed. My voice broke. I could hear Grandpa's voice so clearly, that deep rumble that always made me feel safe. The real inheritance is in Safety Deposit Box 247 at First National Bank. The key is enclosed. Inside you'll find $200,000, photographs and documents. This is your fresh start, baby girl. Take it and run if you need to. I love you. You were always my favorite, even though I wasn't supposed to have one. The silence that followed was absolute. Then Terence lunged for the letter. I'd never seen my brother move so fast. He snatched the letter from my hands, his eyes wild as they scanned Grandpa's words. This isn't real. Dad wouldn't do this. Give it back. I tried to grab it, but he held it high, using his height advantage like we were kids fighting over a toy. 200,000? His voice was shrill now. He left you 200,000 extra dollars and only gave the rest of us 50? That's not fair. That's not fair. I was screaming now, all pretense of Easter civility gone. You stole my 50,000 and you want to talk about fair? Boys, stop it. Mama was crying now, mascara running down her face. Both of you just stop. But Terence wasn't stopping. His face had gone red, a vein pulsing in his forehead. He always loved you more. Always gave you more chances, more money, more everything. What about me? I was the one who stayed, who took care of him when he got sick, who stole from your own sister. Uncle Jerome roared, standing up so forcefully his chair toppled backward. Terence, I watched you at that funeral, crying those crocodile tears, hugging Julie while you already had her money in your account. You disgust me. Stay out of this, Jerome, Mama started. No. Jerome cut her off. I'm done staying out of it. Done watching you enable this boy's worst instincts because he's your son. Marcus was my brother, and he specifically told me that if Terence tried anything shady, I was to make sure Julie got that letter. I'm 3 hours late, but here we are. Terence's face went from red to purple. You knew there was more money and you didn't tell me? Because it wasn't yours to know. Jerome shot back. I stood there, clutching the brass key so tightly it dug into my palm, watching my family implode. Brianna was recording on her phone. Of course she was. Aunt Carol was crying. The younger cousins looked terrified. Mama was looking at me like I'd done something wrong. Julie, she said quietly. If you take that money and leave, don't come back. The words hung in the air like smoke. I stared at my mother, waiting for her to take them back, to say she didn't mean it. But her face was set, jaw tight, eyes hard. You're serious? It wasn't a question. You're actually choosing his side. I'm choosing my family, Mama said, her voice trembling but firm. I'm asking you to choose it too. Give your brother time to pay back the money. Don't take that extra inheritance and abandon us. That's what family does. We work through things together. Work through things. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. He committed fraud, Mama. He forged my signature on documents he must have, right, Terry? To access my portion of the will. Terence wouldn't look at me. That was answer enough. 18 months, Mama pressed on. Give him 18 months to pay you back the 38,000. The 12 he has left plus payments over time. We'll work out a schedule. No. The word came out clear and cold. I'm going to that bank tomorrow morning. I'm getting my money. And then I'm getting a lawyer. A lawyer. Mama's voice rose to a shriek. You'd sue your own brother? He stole from me. What part of this aren't you understanding? Aunt Carol stood up suddenly. Julie's right, Monique. Her voice was quiet but firm. Terry did wrong. Real wrong. And you asking her to just absorb that loss? That's not right either. Nobody asked you, Carol, Mama snapped. Well, I'm saying it anyway. Carol moved to stand beside me. Marcus was specific in that letter. He knew something like this might happen. He protected Julie because he knew she'd need protecting. Maybe we should trust his judgment. His judgment. Terence exploded again. He was senile at the end. Confused. probably didn't even know what he was signing. Don't you dare. My voice was deadly quiet now. Don't you dare disrespect Grandpa's memory to justify what you did. Julie, Mama tried again, softer this time. Please. Think about what you're doing. Think about Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, all the family gatherings. You walk away now, you lose all of that. I looked around the table. At these people I'd loved my whole life. At the faces that were supposed to be my safe place. No, Mama, I said quietly. I lost it 8 months ago. I just didn't know it yet. Monday morning I was at First National Bank before they opened. Stood outside in the April drizzle, clutching that brass key like a lifeline, my stomach churning with anxiety and rage. I hadn't slept. Hadn't eaten. Just sat in my studio apartment replaying Sunday's nightmare over and over. My phone had been blowing up all night. Terrence called 17 times. Mama sent 12 text messages ranging from, "We need to talk," to "You're breaking my heart." Even Brianna had the audacity to message me, "Girl, I'm sorry I started all that. But at least now you know, right?" At least now I knew. That's what I kept telling myself as the bank manager, Mrs. Cabral, led me to the vault. She was a small Asian woman with kind eyes who'd known Grandpa for 30 years. He came in last March, she told me as we walked. Very specific about his instructions. Said this box was for his granddaughter Julie and only Julie. Made me promise I'd verify ID carefully, wouldn't let anyone else access it under any circumstances. Did anyone try? I asked. Her expression told me everything. Your brother came in about 4 months ago. Said he was executor of the estate and needed to inventory all assets. I told him this box was specifically excluded from estate assets per Marcus's instructions. He wasn't happy. I bet he wasn't. What did he do? Threatened to call our corporate office. Said I was interfering with probate. I told him to call whoever he wanted. I had Marcus's signature and instructions in writing. She smiled slightly. Your grandfather was very thorough. He anticipated resistance. We reached the vault, and Mrs. Cabral left me alone in a small room. My hands shook as I inserted the key. The box was larger than I expected, deep and heavy. Inside, stacked neatly, were bundles of $100 bills. 20 bundles total, each marked $10,000 in Grandpa's handwriting. $200,000 just like the letter said. Underneath the money were photographs. Dozens of them. Me and Grandpa fishing at Lake Marion when I was 7. Me graduating high school, Grandpa beaming proud in the front row. Me at my college graduation, the one Terrence had missed because he had to work. And underneath those documents, bank statements showing deposits Terrence had made into his own account. Withdrawal slips with my forged signature. Emails between Terrence and Devin Richardson discussing investment opportunities. Grandpa had known. Somehow he'd known exactly what would happen. The last item was another letter. I sat in that tiny bank room, surrounded by more money than I'd ever seen in my life, and read my grandfather's final words to me. Julie, my sweet girl. If you're reading this, then my worst fears were confirmed. Your brother has stolen from you and your mother has chosen to enable it. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry I can't be there to protect you myself. I need you to understand something about your family. About why I did things this way. Your grandmother, God rest her soul, had a favorite too. It was Terrence. From the moment he was born, she doted on that boy, and your mother learned to do the same. When you came along 5 years later, I tried to balance it out. Tried to make sure you felt loved, valued, seen. But the pattern was already set. Terrence learned young that he could get away with things. Small things at first. Taking money from your mother's purse, lying about his grades, blaming you for things he did. Your mother always found excuses for him. He's under pressure. He didn't mean it. Boys will be boys. Do you remember when you were 15 and your college fund money disappeared? $3,000 you'd saved from birthdays and summer jobs? Your mother blamed you, said you must have spent it foolishly. But I knew. I knew Terence had taken it because I'd caught him forging your signature on a withdrawal slip. I made him pay it back, but your mother never knew. She wouldn't have believed me. That's why I set this up the way I did. The $50,000 in the will was bait. Yes. I wanted to see if Terence would do the right thing or if he'd continue the pattern. I prayed he'd surprise me. I prayed your mother would stand up for you. But I'm a realist, baby girl. And I planned accordingly. The evidence in this box is enough to prosecute him for fraud if you choose to. The choice is yours. But whatever you decide, know this. You owe them nothing. Not loyalty, not forgiveness, not a damn thing. They made their choices. Now you get to make yours. The money is yours. Use it to build the life you deserve. Go back to school if you want. Move to a new city. Start that business you always talked about. Whatever brings you peace. I love you, Julie. I'm proud of you, for getting sober, for rebuilding your life, for being stronger than any of us had a right to expect. Don't let them take this from you. Don't let them make you small again. You were never the problem. Remember that. Love, Grandpa Marcus. I read it 3 times, tears streaming down my face, making the ink blur. Mrs. Cabral knocked softly, checking if I was okay. I wasn't. I don't think I'd ever been less okay in my life. But I also knew exactly what I needed to do. By Tuesday afternoon I was sitting in a law office downtown, documents spread across a mahogany desk. The lawyer, Angela Mitchell, was a sharp-dressed black woman in her 40s who came highly recommended by my therapist. This is clear-cut fraud, Angela said, reviewing the papers. Forgery, misappropriation of funds, breach of fiduciary duty as executor. The evidence your grandfather collected is damning. If you want to prosecute, the DA would jump on this case. What about criminal charges? I asked. Possible. Likely even. This amount of money could mean felony charges, prison time. She looked at me carefully. But that would destroy your family. I'm obligated to tell you that. They destroyed themselves, I said quietly. I'm just deciding whether to tell anyone about it. Angela nodded. What do you want, Julie? Really want? I'd been asking myself that same question for 3 days. What did I want? To see Terence in prison? To watch Mama's face as her golden boy got led away in handcuffs? The vengeful part of me, the part that was still that 15-year-old girl blamed for stealing her own money, screamed yes. Make them pay. Make them hurt the way you hurt. But the part of me that had spent 90 days in rehab, that had learned about boundaries and healing and letting go, that part knew revenge wouldn't fix the hole in my chest where my family used to be. I want my money back, I finally said. All of it. The $38,000 he lost plus interest. And I want him out of my life. What about the $200,000 from the bank? That's none of their business. Grandpa left it to me specifically outside the will. They have no claim to it. Angela smiled slightly. Smart. Hey, here's what we do. We file a civil suit for the stolen funds. We send a cease and desist letter regarding further contact. We get a judgment, set up payment terms. If he violates any part of the agreement, then we discuss criminal charges. How long will this take? Could be 6 months, could be 2 years. Depends on if he fights it or settles. She leaned forward. But Julie? He's going to fight it. Men like your brother. Men who've gotten away with things their whole lives. They don't go down easy. He was right. By Friday I'd been served with counter papers. Terence was suing me. I sat in Angela's office, staring at the legal documents that made absolutely no sense. Terence was suing me for emotional distress, defamation of character, and breach of familial contract. Breach of familial contract? I read aloud. Is that even a real thing? No, Angela said flatly. It's a bullshit legal theory his lawyer is throwing at the wall to see what sticks. They're claiming you had an implicit agreement to let him manage your inheritance, that you're damaging his reputation by calling him a thief, and that the stress has caused him psychological harm. I laughed. Actually laughed high and slightly hysterical. He steals my money and now I'm the bad guy for being upset about it? It's a pressure tactic. They want you to drop your suit, walk away. They're banking on you not wanting to fight. Angela's eyes were hard. But we have evidence. They have lies. We'll win. How much is he suing for? $250,000. The number hit me like a fist. He knows about the bank money. Probably. Or he's guessing. Either way, he wants it. Angela tapped her pen against the desk. We need to talk about your mother. She's listed as a witness for his defense. Of course she was. I'd stopped answering Mama's calls after the fifth one, where she'd screamed that I was tearing this family apart, and that I should be ashamed. Like I was the villain in this story. What will she say? According to their filing, she'll testify that you have a history of substance abuse, that you were deemed financially irresponsible at the time of inheritance, and that Terrence was acting in your best interest by managing the funds. Managing the funds. I could barely get the words out. He gambled them away with a known scammer. I know. We'll prove that. But Julie. Angela looked uncomfortable. This is going to get ugly. They're going to dig into your past. The pills, the rehab, every mistake you've ever made. They'll paint you as an addict who can't be trusted with money. I've been sober for almost a year. I know. And we'll show that. We'll show your meeting attendance, your sponsor's testimony, your employment record. But they're going to try to hurt you. Are you ready for that? I thought about Grandpa's letter. About his words. You were never the problem. Yeah, I said quietly. I'm ready. What I wasn't ready for was the Facebook post Mama made that night. The one that went viral in our family and community. The one that painted me as a greedy, ungrateful daughter trying to destroy her brother over a misunderstanding about money. My phone exploded. Friends I hadn't talked to in years messaged to say they were disappointed in me. Church ladies I'd known my whole life called me money hungry. Cousins took sides, the family splitting right down the middle. And through it all, Terrence played the victim perfectly. 3 weeks into the legal battle, I lost my job. My supervisor called me into her office with an apologetic expression. Julie, I'm sorry, but the drama, your family members have been calling here saying things. Corporate thinks it's best if we part ways. They gave me 2 weeks severance. 2 weeks to replace the income I'd been barely surviving on. I sat in my car in the parking lot and screamed until my throat was raw. That night at my NA meeting I broke down completely. I'm doing everything right, I sobbed to my sponsor Keisha. I've been sober, I've worked my program, I've set boundaries. And they're still punishing me. They're destroying my life because I wouldn't let them steal from me. Keisha held my hand, her dark eyes understanding. You know what they're doing, right? They're trying to make you hurt so much you'll give up. Give in. Go back to using so they can point and say, see? We were right about her. I can't go back to that. The thought of pills, of that numb floating feeling was simultaneously terrifying and tempting. I can't. Then don't. Stay angry if you need to. Anger is better than relapse. He squeezed my hand. Your family is sick, Julie. They're sick and they want you to be sick with them. Don't do it. Don't give them that power. But staying strong was getting harder. My apartment lease was up in 60 days. My savings were depleted from legal fees. And Terence's lawyer was pushing for a quick trial date, knowing I was struggling financially. Then Uncle Jerome called. "Don't hang up," he said quickly when I answered. "Please. I need to tell you something. If this is another guilt trip about how I'm destroying the family. It's not. It's about your brother. Something I should have told you months ago." He took a deep breath. "Julie, you weren't the first person he stole from." My blood went cold. "What?" 5 years ago, when Aunt Patrice was dying of cancer, she had a GoFundMe. Raised about $30,000 for her treatment. Terence was managing it because he's good with computers and finance. Jerome's voice dripped bitterness. Except only 15,000 ever made it to Patrice. The rest just disappeared. He said there were processing fees, platform costs. But I did some digging. He took half her cancer money, Julie. Did anyone confront him? Patrice was too sick. She died believing people hadn't donated much. Your mama shut down anyone who questioned it, said we were being cruel to accuse Terence during such a hard time. He paused. I have the records. Bank statements, everything. You're not the first victim. You're just the first one who fought back. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Less dramatic than TV made it seem. But when I walked in and saw Terence sitting at the defense table in a suit Grandpa's stolen money probably paid for, my hands started shaking so badly Angela had to steady me. Mama sat directly behind him wearing her best church dress. She wouldn't look at me. Aunt Carol sat on my side, Uncle Jerome beside her. Brianna was there too, looking guilty for once. The family had split exactly like I'd feared. We're going to win this, Angela whispered. Remember, stay calm, tell the truth, don't let them rattle you. Terence's lawyer went first. A slick white man named Patterson who talked about family dynamics and mental health concerns, and painted me as a troubled addict who couldn't handle responsibility. He called Mama to the stand. She looked so small up there, so fragile. And when Patterson asked her about my substance abuse issues, she cried. Actually cried, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. My daughter was in a very dark place, Mama testified. After the accident, the pain medication, she wasn't herself. We all thought it was best if Terence managed her inheritance until she was more stable. Did you believe your son was acting in Julie's best interest? Patterson asked. Absolutely. Terence is responsible, educated. He has a business degree. We trusted him completely. Did Julie ever express interest in managing her own inheritance? Mama hesitated. She didn't know about it initially. We thought it would be better to wait. So you and Terence made a joint decision to withhold information about the inheritance from Julie for her own protection? Yes. I wanted to scream. Angela squeezed my arm, silently telling me to wait. Then it was our turn. Angela called Uncle Jerome first. He told the court about Aunt Patrice's GoFundMe, about the missing money, about Terence's pattern of financial manipulation. Patterson objected 3 times, but the judge allowed it as evidence of character. Then Angela called the bank manager, Mrs. Cabral. She brought Grandpa's original instructions, the exclusion of the safety deposit box from estate assets, and records of Terence trying to access my box. Mr. Washington seemed quite insistent, Mrs. Cabral testified. He said he had a right to inventory all assets. When I explained his grandfather's specific instructions that this box was excluded, he became aggressive. Threatened legal action. Did he ever mention his sister? Yes. He said, and I quote, "My sister doesn't need to know about this. She'll just waste it." The courtroom stirred. Mama's face went pale. Angela smiled slightly. Mrs. Cabral, in your professional opinion, did Mr. Washington know this box was meant specifically for his sister? Oh, absolutely. Marcus was very clear with the whole family about his wishes. Terence knew. Then it was my turn to testify. I sat in that witness box, raised my right hand and swore to tell the truth. Looking out at the courtroom, at Mama's disappointed face, at Terence's barely concealed rage, at the family members who'd chosen sides, I felt strangely calm. Angela walked me through it all. The Easter brunch revelation. The forged signatures. The lost $38,000. Devin Richardson's scam. Grandpa's letter. Every painful, humiliating detail. Then Patterson cross-examined me. Miss Washington, how long were you addicted to prescription painkillers? I wasn't addicted. I was dependent after a car accident. There's a medical difference. But you did attend rehab for 90 days? Yes. And during that time you had no income, no savings, no way to support yourself? Correct. So when your grandfather died, you were in a financially vulnerable position? I was rebuilding my life, I said firmly. I've been sober almost a year. I'm employed, or I was until my family's harassment got me fired. I pay my bills. I attend meetings. I'm doing everything right. But at the time of your grandfather's death, you weren't stable? I was sober. I was stable. I was healing. I looked directly at Terence. And my brother decided I didn't deserve to know about my own inheritance. He decided he knew better. He decided to forge my signature and steal my money. Those were his choices, not mine. Patterson tried to rattle me, asked about specific incidents in my past, but Angela objected to most of it. When I finally stepped down, I felt lighter somehow. Like I'd put down a weight I didn't know I'd been carrying. The judge took 2 days to rule. When we returned to court for the verdict, I noticed Mama wouldn't even sit in the courtroom. She waited outside, probably praying for a miracle that would make me the villain again. In the matter of Washington versus Washington, the judge began, I find in favor of the plaintiff, Julie Washington. Mr. Terence Washington did engage in fraud, forgery, and misappropriation of funds. He is hereby ordered to repay Miss Washington $38,000 plus interest and legal fees, totaling $47,000, in monthly installments of $1,000 over 4 years. Terence's face went purple. Patterson immediately started talking about appeals, but the judge wasn't finished. Furthermore, I'm issuing a no-contact order. Mr. Washington is not to contact Miss Washington directly or through third parties for the duration of the payment period. Any violation will result in immediate criminal prosecution for the fraud charges, which I'm suspending pending satisfactory completion of repayment. Your Honor, Terence started to stand, but the judge silenced him with a look. Mr. Washington, you stole from your sister during one of the most vulnerable periods of her life. You forged her signature, lied to your family, and attempted to deprive her of assets your grandfather specifically set aside for her protection. The only reason you're not facing criminal charges right now is your sister's mercy. I suggest you don't test it. Court dismissed. The gavel came down. Angela hugged me. Uncle Jerome was crying. And Terence looked at me with such pure hatred I actually felt afraid for a moment. But then I remembered, I'd won. Not just the case but something bigger. I'd fought for myself. I'd refused to be made small. I'd set boundaries and enforced them even when it cost me everything I thought I needed. Outside the courthouse, Mama was waiting. She looked older, somehow tired. Julie, she said quietly. Can we talk? No. The word came out easier than I expected. You made your choice, Mama. You chose him over me, over the truth, over what was right. I can't have people like that in my life anymore. Not even you. I'm your mother. Her voice broke. You can't just cut me out. Watch me. I started to walk away, then turned back. You know what the saddest part is? Grandpa knew. He knew exactly what would happen and he tried to protect me. The one person who really loved me unconditionally is gone, and the people who are supposed to love me tried to rob me blind. So no, Mama. We're done. I walked away from her, from that courthouse, from that entire chapter of my life. Angela linked her arm through mine. Where to now? I thought about Grandpa's letter. About the $200,000 waiting for me to build a new life. About the possibilities stretching out ahead like an open road. Forward, I said. Only forward. I'm sitting in my own office now. A bright, modern space with plants in every corner and motivational posters that don't feel corny because I actually believe them. Julie Washington, licensed addiction counselor, reads the nameplate on my desk. I used Grandpa's money to finish my degree, get certified, and open a practice helping people like me, people trying to rebuild after hitting rock bottom. Terrence made his payments for 8 months before he stopped. Angela filed for criminal prosecution immediately. He took a plea deal. 2 years probation, community service, and full restitution. Mama refinanced her house to pay off his debt to me in one lump sum. She never forgave me for putting her son through that. I haven't spoken to either of them since the trial. Uncle Jerome sends updates sometimes. Terrence lost his job, moved back in with Mama, is working on himself. I wish him well from a distance, but I don't wish him back in my life. Brianna apologized last year, said she didn't realize what she'd started at that Easter brunch. I'm cordial when I see her, but we're not close. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. And that's okay. Aunt Carol and Uncle Jerome come by the office sometimes, bringing lunch and asking nothing in return. That's what real family looks like, I've learned. People who show up, tell the truth, and stand by you when it costs them something. My new therapist says I'm thriving. My sponsor says I'm an inspiration. Almost 4 years sober now. My clients say I get it in a way other counselors don't. Because I've been there, in that dark place where family betrayal and addiction nearly swallowed me whole. But I climbed out. I fought back. I chose myself. Some people think that's selfish. Mama certainly does. She sent one letter about 6 months after the trial, asking why I had to be so hateful, and couldn't I see I was destroying what's left of this family. I wrote back once. Only once. You destroyed it first. You just mad I noticed. I never heard from her again. Last week a young woman came to my office. 23, fresh out of rehab, crying because her family was pressuring her to reconcile with the boyfriend who'd gotten her hooked on pills in the first place. They say I'm being unforgiving, she sobbed. They say family forgives. I handed her a tissue and told her about an Easter brunch, a forged signature, and a grandfather who loved me enough to protect me from the people who should have protected me themselves. Family is supposed to forgive, I said. But family is also supposed to not steal from you in the first place. You don't owe anyone access to hurt you no matter what they call themselves. She cried harder then laughed. My therapist said something similar. I just needed to hear it from someone who's been there. I've been there, I confirmed. And I'm here now. So will you be? She left my office standing taller. That's what I do now. I help people stand tall after life tries to break them. I help them set boundaries. I help them choose themselves. It's the best inheritance Grandpa could have left me. Not the money, though that helped. But the lesson, that sometimes loving yourself means walking away from people who don't. That you can be grateful for the good times and still refuse to tolerate the bad ones. That family is supposed to build you up, not tear you down to make themselves feel bigger. I keep his picture on my desk. Me and Grandpa at Lake Marion, both of us grinning, fish on the line. Underneath, I've framed part of his final letter. You were never the problem. Remember that. I remember Grandpa. Every single day I remember. And I'm finally free.